Hoy tendremos interpretación en vivo, entonces hay un icono de un globo terráqueo al fondo de la pantalla, entonces haga clic en ese botón y escoge su idioma si quiere escuchar en español. Si tiene algún problema, póngalo en el chat o envíe un mensaje a Georgia o a mí directamente. Gracias por estar aquí y vamos a empezar.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ben. Gracias, Ben. Again, if you have any issues, as he said, please let us know in the chat and we'll help you out there. So I will get us started here. Welcome to our virtual impact tour to Uganda today. We're so excited to have you join. There's a huge group here, which is amazing. And as hopefully some of you, but maybe not all of you know, impact tours are typically our way of connecting our supporters with the incredible work of our country teams and local partners across the 9 countries where we work. So our last in-person tour was in 2020. So we have been, as everybody has been, pivoting and getting creative and been very, very grateful for our teams globally who have come along for the ride and been so creative and helpful in figuring out how to host something like this virtually. So we found such success with our first virtual impact tour to Bolivia this past April, and grateful to continue the opportunity to continue our travels as they take us to the Uganda country program. So our goal is to be able to foster the same sense of connection and inspiration that we hear so often after supporters are able to meet our country teams, partners, and the community leaders who are really the ones championing everyone forever in their communities each and every day. So first, we want to thank our colleagues in Uganda for their extreme flexibility and creativity in gathering this footage ahead of time and being on extra late into their evening to discuss the visits live, especially considering the time difference. So we'd love to have you engaged throughout today's presentation, or tour rather, not even presentation, in both the chat and Q&A feature. So we'll have a dedicated Q&A portion planned after each of the 2 pre-recorded session visits. You'll get to ask questions to staff and community leaders live. And so as was mentioned in the chat here, feel free to share your name, organization, if applicable, and location in the chat. I will mention as well, if you want to share with everybody, make sure when you have that on the drop down that you're toggled to everyone and not just hosts or panelists so that everybody can see your lovely introduction. So first, I'm going to start us by getting through today's agenda and sharing a little bit about what you can expect over the next hour and a half. We'll kick off with an overview presentation from Brenda Achiro, Uganda Country Director. We're very, very lucky to have her joining us this morning. So she'll help us go through what Everyone Forever means. Some of you might be very familiar. Some of you, this might be your first time. And hopefully either way, you walk away with something new that you can learn about Water for People. Then we'll start our travels. So a few highlights of today's visit. We'll be traveling throughout the country of Uganda. We'll be visiting a Hand Pump Mechanics Association in Kemwenge and getting a behind the scenes tour of the Buguli Water Office, among many other really interesting visits. Something that we've been very grateful for the Uganda team is that they have, again, gotten very creative with how to bring their work to you. And these visits have done a wonderful job in really showcasing the wide variety of incredible programming and work that's going on in Uganda. So in between each pre-recorded visit, you'll have an opportunity to submit questions through the Q&A feature, which again is just located there at the bottom of your panel. And so once that visit is done, we'll connect with all of the Uganda staff and other community members live through 2 different panels. And we'll make sure to be able to hopefully answer as many questions as possible. I will suggest that if you do have questions as you're watching the visits and traveling, maybe jot those down, and you're welcome to share them either during the visits or right after, because there'll be a lot of great content. So make sure to get those questions in so we can get those answered during the live portions. And then lastly, we'll close out with a supporter perspective. So we have an incredible supporter, Jenna, who's been a longtime champion of Water for People and actually joined us for an in-person impact tour in Rwanda in fall 2019. And we'll end with an exciting news that we have for the impact tour as a whole. And I want to take one more opportunity quickly here to introduce just a few faces Obviously, you see my face here, but want to introduce a few others on our team that's planning. So Julia Correa is my colleague here. She and I are organizing the impact tours from our team, but we have an incredible team of other colleagues, Jasmine, Daryl, and Ben in particular, who will be here to answer any technical or logistical questions. So again, please use that chat feature. If you need to connect with the host or panelists, you can use that as the drop down as well. Okay, without further ado, I'm excited to formally introduce Brenda Achiro, as I mentioned, our amazing Uganda country director. Brenda is a WASH professional with over 15 years experience in leading and managing development and humanitarian work for nonprofit organizations in Uganda, managing countrywide programs, providing oversight in design, planning, implementation, accountability, and learning. She has an MBA from East and Southern Africa Management Institute, a master's in social sector planning, and a few other degrees as well to boot. Brenda, thank you so much for joining us today. Brenda's going to take us through, as I mentioned, an overview of Water for People. Thanks for welcoming us to Uganda, and I'll pass it off to you, Brenda. Has Brenda joined us on here? Okay, might have some technical difficulties connecting with Brenda. With that said, we can probably go ahead and get started, and I can jump in to share until Brenda is able to connect. Oh, we're here with Brenda. So can somebody promote Loretta's camera to panelist? And it looks like Brenda is there with her.
Georgia, are you able to promote her?
I just allowed to talk. So Loretta, can you hear us on here and see if you can unmute on your end?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Good morning, Loretta. Good morning, team in Uganda. Thank you. Hopefully you heard my introduction, but I'm kicking it over to you, Brenda, to get us started here with the presentation. So thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Georgia. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Welcome to Uganda. It's a pleasure for me to take you through our Everyone Forever Impact model here in Uganda. So our vision, as I've mentioned, our Everyone Forever Impact model. But before then, our vision is a world where every person has access to reliable and safe drinking water and sanitation. So it sounds simple, but it's quite challenging to ensure that everyone, meaning you, are putting into perspective everybody in a very hard to reach place. People who are able and not able to pay, those who are marginalized, those who are vulnerable, literally leaving no one behind. So it's quite a challenge. However, as Water for People, we are up to the challenge to ensure that everyone has access to reliable and safe drinking water and sanitation. Next slide, please. Yes, our Everyone Forever Impact model anchors our programming in Uganda. And when we say everyone, we mean every family or household, every clinic or healthcare facility, and every school literally having access to reliable water and sanitation.
Brenda, sorry if I can interrupt just for 1 minute. If you don't mind scooting a little bit closer to the microphone, since we have Spanish interpretation today, we just want to make sure they're able to hear you as you give the presentation. Thank you. A little bit of rearranging as we move through this morning and afternoon and night. Thanks again.
Okay, and I will endeavor to speak louder. Is it okay now? Is it better?
I can hear it more clearly. I know it's a little bit different. I think if you can get just a little closer, Brenda, the interpreters have let us know. Thank you.
Okay. I'll try to speak loudly, and I hope you can all hear me. So everyone means every family or household, every health facility or clinic, and every school literally having access to reliable water and sanitation. Next slide, please. Yes, and forever means our water supplies are protected. The institutions that are meant to manage these services, like the water office in the district, are functional and able to manage these institutions. And we actually have the water resource kept close to us. We are very cognizant of the underground water and the surface water to make sure that it's not depleted, and it should be able to serve communities in the years to come. So forever is about sustainability. Forever is about the service authority or the district being able to maintain these services even after water for people has left or after a program has actually closed. So it's about the communities eventually being aid independent. Next slide, please. Yes, so forever is about systems change. Water and sanitation are a part of greater systems. For example, when we talk about toilet services, we are literally looking at the entire sanitation value chain, right from capture, meant to separate fecal matter from humans, to pit emptying, transportation, treatment, and reuse. It's an entire system that has a number of players involved in it to ensure that it's sustained. And for example, when it gets to, let's say, the flush toilet, it's about the fecal matter being directly transmitted to the sewer line and the area or the environment kept safe. And when you talk about the water system, there are very many entities at play. I'll give an example. In Uganda, we have entities like National Water and Sewerage Corporation. We have umbrella organizations who have the mandate to make sure that these systems are managed, to make sure that there is someone at the point of service turning on the tap and turning it off, collecting dues, making payments in the bank. So it's an entire system that we try to put in perspective. Next slide, please. Yeah, so a little bit about how we measure everyone. Water for People and our local government partners collect data on a wide range of variables. We collect data at service level. And just to throw more light on that, it's beyond just saying there is a water point here and a water point the other side. We go into detail of checking, is the water point actually improved? Is it offering water at the time of spot check? Is it giving quality water that meets standards? Is it giving the right quantity standards? Because in Uganda, we have quantity standards of a 20-liter jerrycan of water per person per day. So we have a number of parameters that we look at. So it's an entire, it is the service level, but and beyond just checking about the presence of a water point, yes or no. We go deeper than that. But we also look at sustainability matrices. As I mentioned earlier, water resources management is critical. We are cognizant that the future generation should be able to find water years to come. We put into perspective the service authority. In Uganda, it is the district water office. Does it have the capacity in terms of numbers and skill to manage this service after the project has ended? So we literally check the readiness of a district to be able to maintain the service even after we leave. We also go ahead to check the customer satisfaction. Are they satisfied? What do they have to say about the water system? So those are some of the matrices that we measure on an annual basis, and it forms the basis of our programming. Every year, we try to program to address the gaps that the data is showing us. Next slide, please. Yes, so about our impact, we do have some stories about lives changed. Next slide, please. Right there is a story of a one Faith who had this to say. I like
talking about water because water is life. So when you hear such statements coming from the communities, that means you're actually changing a life, you're impacting someone. We also had a story or a statement from Monica who says, the tap excites the children so much that whenever I need water, they compete to fetch it for me. So I mean, there is excitement in the community, there is joy because water is close to people. Yes, water is life. Next slide, please. Furthering education. I'd like to throw more light on this. Typically, in a rural setting in Uganda, little children actually have to first fetch water before they go to school. So you can imagine a child having to walk for a kilometer to go carry a 20-liter jerrycan of water back home and then get ready to go to school. So most times he gets to school very tired and unable to even concentrate. So, I mean, we have the likes of Martin saying, now I have time to play and to read my books. So our service provision, as we extend water and sanitation services to people, we are actually furthering education. We are furthering and improving another sector altogether. Next slide, please. Creating jobs. This is a story of Laban, a gentleman from Kawambiro sub-county in Kamwenge district. He is a borehole attendant, opening and closing the borehole for communities to come, and he also collects the fees. Communities pay about $0.014 for every 20-liter jerrycan. Now, within the Water as a Business program, he's able to have a small cut for himself to take care of his wife and children, to be able to pay school fees for his children, but also to put food on the table. So our programming actually creates jobs for young men and women. Next slide, please. Thank you very much, and over to you, Georgia.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful, and hopefully gets everybody on the same page and excited about our visits today. So as you can tell with this slide, we are about to bon voyage and head out on our travels. So we will get started here. First up is Kamwenge, where we'll learn and visit the Hand Pump Mechanics Association with Water for People staff member / host extraordinaires, Loretta and Martin. I think that should be added to both of your titles officially, and I imagine you'll agree with me when you see this video. So enjoy the travels, and please remember to start putting your questions in the Q&A as we go so we can get those answered for our visit.
Welcome, my name is Loretta Nakaima and I work with Water for People. Today we are heading to Kamwenge, which is in the western part of Uganda. It is one of the bigger projects that we have as Water for People Uganda. We have been working there since 2018. We have loads and lots of exciting things for you to see. I will hand you over to my colleague called Martin and Grace, who will be taking you through your tour in Kamwenge. So let's go.
Our EF district in Kamwenge, and we are starting with our HPMA shop here in Nkoma sub-county. I'm taking you through the shop, and here we are meeting our HPM. Sir, please introduce yourself.
I'm Mwekambe Paul, and I'm a hand pump mechanic, Kamwenge district, and I'm working as a hand pump mechanic in Nkoma sub-county.
Okay, Paul, would you let us know about this shop and what it is used for?
Yeah, as I told you that I've been working in Kamwenge as a hand pump mechanic for more than 8 years. We have been with the challenge of getting spares from very far, finding difficulties in expenses, and I decided to start the spare shop with help from Water for People, and so that is all we can do. I have a toolbox as well, so in case the hand pump is down, all I can do is to get the spare from the shop, get my toolbox, and make sure that the well is
So
repaired.
how is the response from the communities? Are they coming to your shop to pick these spare parts, or you're taking them there directly?
Yeah, as I told you, we have the HPMA, that is
Yes.
an association.
Yes.
We have very many hand pump mechanics in different sub-counties.
Okay.
So they are helped by this spare shop that we have.
Yes.
So in case the well is down, they call the hand pump mechanic and he's there to repair the spare that is missing.
Okay.
So the hand pump comes and buys the spare from the shop.
Do you even still have wells that you're managing where you take these spare parts?
Yes, now the spare parts, I'm not only the hand pump mechanic, but also an entrepreneur managing wells that have meters. The meters that we installed on wells
Yes.
were aimed at making sure that the collection of the water use, the maintenance fee
Yes.
is made easy. So we had to install the meters on the wells to see that everyone who is picking a jerrycan of water on the water source is paying at least some amount of money per jerrycan, to see that at any time the well is down, there is enough money to repair.
We are here at the well that is managed by Mwekambi Paul. Please, Paul, take us through on what you do at this well.
This is one of the wells I'm managing. I have my caretaker. She's called the Rhoda. She's the one who stays around, and she's the one who collects the maintenance fee. A person who comes here with a jerrycan has to pay to make sure that the money that she collects helps us to buy the spares from the shop, and also she is paid on the same money that she collects, and the same money is the one that helps us also to pay my maintenance fee. This well is visited twice a month.
Okay.
That is 2 weeks, and in the case of any breakdown, the caretaker has my contact. She has to call me and make sure I respond as early and quickly as possible.
Okay. So how many wells do you have under your management that are of this type, that are metered?
I have over 14 wells that are of this nature, and the community is appreciating the service.
Now we are at Viguli Water Office, where the manager for Viguli Water Systems sit. We are also going to look at the water quality testing lab. We are also going to discuss about the performance of the systems in Viguli. We are also going to discuss about the sustainability of these systems. Then she is going to take us to the beneficiaries of these water systems. Please follow me and we meet the manager for this systems. I would like to know the role of umbrella in ensuring that everyone in Viguli and Chenjojo, as you said, is reached with safe water.
Yeah, we are making more connections. At the time of handover, there were only 1,000 connections, but this time we have 1,825 connections. We are planning for extensions. We are making more connections very soon. Actually, we have 170 pending connections that are to be made very soon.
That is so nice, manager. And do you do any monitoring of water in your systems?
Yeah, we have underground water divers to help us monitor the levels.
Thank you so much, manager. Then do you do water quality testings for the water that you pump to the customers?
Yeah, we have a water quality laboratory, and we even have a trained staff that always does the testing on a daily basis.
Thank you. I do the quality part of it in Bigudi branch. I go collect samples on a weekly basis. I do store them. This is a fridge just for storing my samples. Then I do the microbiological test using the water testing kit here, and also the physical parameters are done using these equipments, the turbimeter and the photometer. I do all the physical parameters. This is a weighing balance for weighing my samples. This is for sterilizing my sample, my equipment before being used. And also I have some chlorine here for the one I use for treatment. I go do the treatment in all the schemes.
So how regularly do you do this water quality testing?
The water quality testing I do weekly. I make sure I visit all the schemes within a week to make sure that the water being supplied is safe. It is not contaminated, it has no any contamination, so that we give people safe water. So I do that weekly, and also the treatment is done on a daily basis. I make sure water is treated.
Oh, thank you so much, manager, and thank you so much, our lab technician, for taking us through this water quality testing lab.
Water is a government parastatal that was founded in 1972, and we are mandated by the government to sustainably give our people in Uganda, all over Uganda, with clean, piped and safe water. The way we do it is we serve our customers with water, bill them monthly, then we collect revenue so that we can inject it back into operations and sustainably serve them. As National Water and Sewage Corporation, we are very much committed to ensuring that all these systems that are handed over to us are maintained to serve our people for hundreds and hundreds of years to come. We have a very experienced team, both on ground and globally, countrywide. That is mandated, we are by law mandated to do the work of sustaining these systems. So we are very much committed, and we can assure you that all these systems that are being set up and handed over to us will be looked after very well. Our water comes from the environment, from the good climate, for instance. So we are so mindful about climate change. As National Water, we have been proactive in that regard. We have been planting trees. We have a 10 million project, tree planting project. So far in Kamwenge, we have planted over 50,000 in the last 1 year. But we're also looking at environmental source protection. For instance, we depend on water from River Mpanga. So we would we emphasize, we try to sensitize our people in the villages to not to pollute our sources, and also we try to sensitize them to adopt better practices of sanitation, of having drainable latrines in every household and the like. So that we can be able to protect our sources and produce good water.
In the recent past, I can talk directly now for the urban water interventions. In these last 2-3 years, we have had collaboration with Water for People on mainly 2 interventions. One, they were strong partners under the Uganda Sanitation Fund, where we developed some additional resources to do for the upscaling innovative urban sanitation approaches for the urban poor within Uganda. And we partnered with Water for People to implement that component of the project, which was supported by the Water and Sanitation Collaborative Council. This was a good starting process where we tried out different approaches, which could be upscaled, which was supposed to be upscaled to bigger projects. Currently, in the current ongoing, we are partnering with Water for People in implementation of a water supply project in Kabingo area, which is in Kamwenge district, where Water for People has already done designs and plans as part of the investment strategies I've talked about. So when Water for People was able to make this, they were able to approach the ministry and say, we have this going, and how can we take it forward, looking for some more partners to implement the project. And as government, we are always very excited when you have a partner trying to assist you on your responsibility and taking the lead into developing some of these systems. So we were very excited about that challenge and looked for resources, and we were able to co-fund the interventions in Kabingo water supply. It's a project ongoing, and we hope to be completed within the next 2 or 3 months. Absolutely. You see, when you talk about co-financing, the government of Uganda is mandated to provide services to the population. So it is our mandate. We are always ready to provide services in these areas, and whenever we get any partner with any additional arm to support into the process, as I said, we look for the resources to have as our contribution towards the initiative. But we are fully committed to the cause, and all projects, especially co-financing, we have generally been successful at getting co-financing from the government of Uganda. It is one of the key criteria actually also for the projects to be supported. So when we get, if I can flip it and say, whenever we have some co-financing from a development partner, then it gets a first call on the budgeting resources of the government of Uganda. So government will always do co-financing of such interventions. As you know, government of Uganda runs about financial years, which a financial year budget within the medium-term expenditure framework. I said we have budgets generally for WASH activities, water and sanitation, both in means of water, means of education, means of health. So these funds are there to provide resources. So in each financial year, as when we have such projects identified in advance and able to access into the subsequent budgets, that is when we budget for the activities. But we generally do not have a specific budget for co-financing, but whenever these projects come on board, then we're able to adequately budget for them. In short, we conclude by really thanking Water for People for this driving, being very enthusiastic about our sector, being enthusiastic about water and sanitation interventions, and generally doing this in a spirit, in a way that is new, and in a way that is creative, a way that is very interactive, like we're having today. We get a bit surprised the way we cooperate with Water for People. It starts from casual discussions. So say we need this investment plan here. So okay, let us think about it. And the next 3 days or in 1 month, they are back with a response on, oh yes, I think we have this approach that we can do. So we believe, we hope and pray that we continue this kind of partnership. We continue the interactions. Together we can be able to formulate partnerships that are going to take us a good distance in achieving the SDG targets.
Well, thank you so much to everybody who was a part of putting that together. As you have probably well noted very early on in that video, this was something that was a large effort on behalf of the team in Uganda, who we're excited to hear from shortly here. So with that, I'm going to ask our teams there. I know we have 2 different video feeds coming in from our panelists to turn on your video so we can get started with the Q&A section. Thank you to those who've been putting in questions and answers in both the Q&A feature and in the chat. I'm going to start in order, maybe of the videos that came through. I know we also have an incredible special guest with us here today, so we'll make sure to get some questions for him as well. But first off, from the visit to the Hand Pumps Mechanic Association, there were a couple of logistical questions that came through that I wanted to share out. First off, how much is the 20-liter jerry can fee in Uganda shilling and in US dollars?
Thank you very much. The 20-liter jerry can costs 50 Uganda shillings. And
I think we may have lost a bit of feed there. Martin, is your group connected? Can you hear us okay?
Yes, we can hear you. I can support the cost of a 20-liter jerry can is 50 Uganda shillings. And a dollar is around 2,400. So that one is, so it is, the dollar is 4,800. So that is like quarter a dollar, something. So Stanley can help us convert into dollars and 0.01. So it is 0.01 US dollars.
Great, thank you. And the video feed isn't coming through on your end, Martin. I'm not sure if you're able to turn on your video so we could see you. But I'll also ask another question here. I think the group in Kimwenga, oh, there you go. Hi, Martin. The group in Kimwenga might be having some connectivity issues, so hopefully they'll be able to join us back here in a second. But another question around the visit that we had to the Hand Pump Association. The video showed a paper currency. What happens when the well monitor is not there? Is the well locked, or do people get water for free? How does that work out?
Okay, thank you so much. They have water fetching schedules so that they allow time for the caretaker also to engage in her family activities and also do farming. So they usually fetch during morning hours and then during midday to lunchtime, and then also in the evening. But usually evening hours, they open a bit longer so that people, when they are done with their activities, they can fetch water up to around 8 or 9 p.m. So evening hours, the schedule is a bit longer so that women are given chance to fetch water.
Great, thank you, Martin. And I see the other group just joined back up. Hi, everybody there. I'm going to see if I can spotlight your group as well. Here we go. Great. So next question that we have here is around the lab that we visited. What sort of treatment is needed on the water in that lab?
If we use groundwater, we do chlorination, where we use chlorine as the disinfectant. That is for the system that you just saw. Then for the other systems, if you use surface water, we do the conventional treatment, where we do the sedimentation, clarification, and still the disinfection.
Thank you. Another question, do you monitor the water quality at household level? Is that a spot check? Do you make sure the container they use is not contaminated? How is the maintenance in that regard?
We do the annual water quality monitoring at household level, but we do the trainings where we sensitize the household members to always clean their jerry cans, wash them, and use clean containers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I can supplement.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, Georgia, just a supplement.
Yeah, my name is Karunji Joseph, Kamwenge District Chairperson. In the villages, we have village health teams, the VHTs. Their work regularly is to visit homes and look at the hygiene in the families. So we depend on them, partly even the local leadership, also to ensure hygiene in the homes.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I know I've had a sneak peek at the next videos, so I'm excited to hear from you in those as well. And I'm sure there'll be some more questions for you as we go. In the meantime, I believe that we have Engineer Felix on the line. Is he also there in the room?
I think he's joining virtually.
Okay, great. Well, we can wait for him for this question then. In the meantime, we had some questions come in around, we know that there were some speak of climate change and talking particularly about the tree planting. So what type of trees have been planted in Kamwenge? We have an attendee who is just in Uganda and saw massive groves of non-native eucalyptus that have been planted throughout the country. So they're curious as to what type of trees were planted as a part of this, as a part of the climate change initiative.
What the type of trees? I will talk about the district that I head, especially where we also work with Water for People. This season that we are ending, and I mean we are ending it this December. In Kamwenge, we've planted 200,000 trees. We've planted Musizi, eucalyptus, we have planted pine, mangoes, Ravelia, Corono Mifule, and in total, about 200,000.
Wow, that's quite a feat. I also had a question in particular too, is are there other mitigation efforts going on around climate change, and what does that look like in a day-to-day for you?
We've also been ensuring that we protect wetlands, and this one we do by ensuring that we sensitize our communities to protect the rivers, but also we have wetlands. We've been able to ensure that they come high. Like in the district, we have Kagasha wetland, and with those ones, we can plant bamboo. Then we also have Mutamba wetland. That one is in Biguli. Biguli is one of the sub-counties that Water for People has knocked off. Then we also have ensured that we, of course, cover hills, plant trees on hills, and that one is intended to protect our communities. Like in the last year, we had landslide on one of our major hills called Kabuga. So it is one of the hills we've been able to plant trees. And we also teach our communities good farming practices to ensure that if they are going to plant, do cultivation, they don't reach at the river banks. You saw in the videos, the manager for Water for People in Kamwenge was talking about protection of Mpanga River. That's where we get much of the water that is piped to our urban trading centers. And also some of these rivers it is where water for people is tapping. Some of these wetlands is where water for people has been tapping the water and it's piped to communities.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. That gives great context, I think, as well, specifically around wetland protection. I know that was a big topic of conversation and visit we recently had as well. We have a couple of questions and just a couple more minutes here before we head out on our next visit, but two of which are similar. So I was going to maybe put them together. People curious about people getting in, I think, more household type water. So if people can't afford to pay for that water, what does Water for People do, or what is their next step? And then if they from there, are they limited to how much water they can have, or can they get as much as they pay for? So more curious around individual water usage.
So during system construction, we train the communities in tariff setting. So where someone cannot afford to pay for water, the service utilities have a payment agreement that they draw up with the households that cannot be able to pay probably their monthly bill, so that when the payment plan is shown, they're able to probably, I mean, in Kamwenge, we do a lot of farming. So crops are sold at a particular season. So you may find at some point someone doesn't have money, but with the payment schedule, when the money does come in, then they'll be able to pay.
And then I could also add to that, we particularly have an eye on the vulnerable, because we know they are not able to pay. But during systems construction, we intentionally identify the vulnerable, who include the disabled, child-headed homes, those who have chronic illnesses and are not productive anymore. So we intentionally actually extend water to them up to their doorsteps. Currently, what we are doing is trying to understand their social networks, to draw up a support system around them, because you find that some of them actually have children who are working in the city and are able to support them in paying for water. So those are some of the models we are still working on. I won't say we are already at that point, but we are working together with the Community Development Office that handles gender things. It lies within the department and the Ministry of Gender to support the vulnerable. So there are some funds that are there to support them. So as Water for People, we're intentionally engaging the Community Department to think about extending water to those vulnerable groups. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brenda. And I think that's such a beautiful representation of what you had shared really in the beginning of everyone forever, and what really everyone means, which is every school, every clinic, every community, the hardest to reach, the most vulnerable, all of those in our communities that deserve dignified sanitation and safe water. So thank you so much to both of you for going through that. And I have, it's not a question, but a comment that I'd like to share out from the chat from Tony before we head on to our next visit. He mentioned just an outstanding team in Uganda doing amazing work to provide water and sanitation services to the communities. Thank you to everyone. So I think that's a nice way to hopefully encapsulate our first visit and Q&A section. So thanks for everybody for those really poignant questions, and clearly people were very moved and curious about the work that you're doing all over Uganda. So next up, we'll be heading back out to Kamwenge District. Our first stop is to meet the sanitation inspector and learn more about improving household sanitation.
now we are at a household where we are going to meet the sanitation inspector, and is going to take us through the processes that they've been able to go through so that they can reach at a standard latrine at the household level. So here I'm meeting Mr. Babiha. Please introduce yourself to us and then take us through the journey that you've gone through.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Martin. I'm Alex Babiha, Health Inspector, Biguli Sub-County. I welcome you all. We are here to show you all the processes we have gone through in sanitation.
Thank you so
currently,
much.
We have been using, previously we used the other kind of sanitation, which was not all that improved, which is muddy, but through Water for People, with their guidance, we had to come through and come here. They helped us to improve the sanitation. This was done through different processes.
Okay, would like to know those processes.
Yeah, through Water for People, we are able to trigger villages within the sub-county. Currently, we triggered 23 villages.
Okay.
Among which we managed to trigger those villages, identified the sanitation activities within the villages, went to follow them up. After following them up, we did the verification, and through verification, we are able to have the open defecation-free villages. This kind of structure came up when through Water for People, and through identifying those villages.
Yes.
And in ODF,
yes,
we saw that it can't be sustained.
Okay.
And therefore, we worked with them in identifying different masons, and those masons were trained on different types of toilets to be constructed.
Yes.
And one of those toilets is this one here.
Okay.
Those masons were trained in those toilets. Then through those trainings, they were able to set up this structure.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think you can guide us through, and we see the structure, the inside, and then the outside.
So this is how this structure looks.
Okay.
It looks nice. I think you can see now.
Yes, I can see.
There is use of water.
Okay.
And this water helps in making sanitation look nice.
Okay.
Okay. Behind here,
yes,
we can see how it was made.
Okay.
With these masons.
Yes.
They helped us to construct these ones. This is our inspection cover. These are pits, different pits.
Okay.
When this one gets full, they resort to going to the other pit, and as this one is drying up.
Okay.
So it keeps on changing, interchanging.
We are here in Benga B, and we are meeting the Masons Association, which is here, and the members are seated here. So we are going to have an interview. So navuga n'umushija n'uwo mukuru w'ekibina sebo wasibota
asibaje sebo
tugambira amazina na n'ekibina emirimo ekikora.
Amazina gayamanyeta Mugisha Kasemu, speaker w'ekibina kya Marere Masons Association. Ekibina eki n'ekyabombeki nicyombeka latrines ez'obuyonjo tukwataniza na Water for People. Then latrines tuzombeka omu maka gitu no mu byaro ebitutwiremo.
Okay, webale munonga sebo hati numwombeka latrines zabikachi kandi nizihwera bahe.
Latrines nzihwera abantu abatakiye basa munonga omukyaro mukandi twombeka latrines zebika birengeye bishatu ninga bina. Twombeka VIP latrine, twombeka fosa ortana, power flash na movable toilets. Ntuzikora kuyamba abantu bitu abutono omukyaro ku promoting sanitation.
Okay, webale munonga. Hati omukibine eki kiri registered mukachandikisa ninga tuwereke ebimwarabiremo mukwandikisa kibina kandi mukachandikisa nkahina nkahe.
Ekibine cyandikisibwe aha rurengo gwegomborora katota cyandikisa arengo gwa district tukuyamba Water for People nayo tukwatireho.
Okay, webale munonga webale kwandikisa kibina. Hati association eji ebayambire kimwe nkaba member kandi na necyanga cyona.
Association eji mpaha ecyetu yambireho tubase kumanyana kandi tufuna muna nakasente kuko tukora ko ebintu ebikwantu tukorege mpo ya sanitation tufuna akasente kake akaba kutuhereza tukayamba tukabisa makagito.
Okay, webale munonga sebo nakusima webale murimo kandi webale no kuganira.
Once again, I welcome you to Rukunyu General Hospital. It's in Kamwenge district. We are here to have a feel of what Water for People, together with Kamwenge district local government and the management of Rukunyu General Hospital, have done in the area of infection prevention and control through water, sanitation and hygiene interventions. With us here is the in-charge Rukunyu General Hospital. He will be telling us more about himself. We are here in his office. Feel free, doctor, to tell us about yourself, who you are, a brief about the General Hospital. Thank you, doctor. You're welcome.
So thank you so much. Yes, Rukunyu Hospital, like any general hospital, we are a referral center for the district. So we serve as a referral for all the other facilities, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 in all other sub-counties. So they refer all their complicated patients here at the district. So we are just at the district level. Above us, there are the regional referral hospitals. So I can just say we are just the district referral facility for Kamwenge district.
Having understood that, doctor, I think maybe you could highlight briefly on how you've worked with Water for People in the area of infection prevention and control. Yeah, what is it that you've worked on with Water for People?
Thank you so much, Grace. There are so many things. Ever since we started working with Water for People, we have really have a lot of achievements. We have had a lot of achievements with them. Water for People has helped us in key areas of IPC, infection prevention and control. They have helped us with a lot of wash materials, drinking water points in all departments. They have given us, they have been at the front line as we fight the COVID pandemic, giving us some supplies. They have helped us in waste segregation and management in both the wards and also externally, because like now we have a very good incinerator. We are capable of managing our own waste. So it's a very good achievement. Yeah, and actually thank Water for People for having come in, especially in this era of COVID-19. We have really achieved a lot as Rukunyu and of course the communities we serve. Really thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you, doctor. Well, the whole reason as to why Water for People partners with you is all about prevention of healthcare acquired infections, right?
Yes.
Do you think these interventions are serving the purpose?
Yes, of course, it's already serving us the purpose. You can see as you enter the hospital, at the gate you have a wash facility. Yeah, everyone who is coming in here, there's that routine. You know, with the infection prevention and control starts with hand washing. So that's very key. It's there connected, it's always there working. Our clients and their attendants, visitors, everyone washes hands there. We have 2 other points, one in a very busy area around the maternity, and also another one somewhere in between the wards. So already that is a very, 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 very big achievement. We have a lot of waste segregation points which they have installed in several points in each ward. We have a lot of drinking water points in almost in each department. So we have good other things in waste segregation and management. So and our staff were trained in that, and actually we are already benefiting from it, and we shall see the impact as time goes on, especially as we start recording fewer cases of hospital acquired diseases. So especially diarrheal disease and those water-based diseases, because at least now we have adequate water supply and hand washing points in different parts of our hospital. So yes, thank you so much. We shall see the impact with time. But so far, we are comfortable and we are happy already seeing the results.
So this is the incinerator. So incinerator is the state-of-the-art incinerator.
Is it the only in the region?
Yeah, so far, people even come here to learn about it from other places. They say they have never seen this one. Because it's actually big. They accommodate volumes of all the waste you can generate here. It was constructed by Water for People. We generate and destroy our own waste in this hospital, all of it, apart from the metallic waste. The metallic waste is not much. Usually when it accumulates, it is taken to the center for destruction. So this is our incinerator. It's a very good one, you can see.
You are welcome, visitors.
Thank you.
St. River Godfrey. I operate this incinerator. It is a big item here. I call it an item. This is our waste shed, where we collect all the wastes. We bring them here for temporary storage. Thereafter, we go for burning. But before we go for burning, this is our stores, where we keep our equipment, like a spade and this bar.
What's that bar for?
This bar, it is called a natural. It is used
to spread the ash?
The ash. Those that can burn, we burn them here. Those that cannot, like veils, ampoules, the scissors, and what not, we don't do what? We keep them there, where the renewable services
Okay.
I'm opening the incinerator.
Our dear viewers, we've been honored to be hosted at Rukunyu Hospital by the medical officer in charge of the facility. We are grateful. Hopefully it has been a great learning for all of us to see what is transpiring here, courtesy of Water for People, Kamwenge District Local Government, and the management of Rukunyu Health Center, General Hospital. Doctor, we are grateful. We thank you for all the efforts of keeping the population around infection-free. Thank you very much. As Water for People, we appreciate the collaboration.
Thank you so much again for a wonderful tour. I think what was encompassed by both the first visit and this is really WASH. So for those of you who are familiar with that acronym, water, sanitation, hygiene, it goes beyond obviously just water, even though water is what's in our name and a core value of what we do here at Water for People. But just as important, all of those things go hand in hand with safe sanitation and hygiene practices. So thank you again to the team throughout Uganda for taking us to such incredible and interesting locations to really better understand the work that you do on a daily basis. We have a few questions coming in. I'd encourage you, as Julia mentioned, make sure that you're using the chat feature, or rather the Q&A feature, to include your questions so we can get those here for the second round of Q&A. So the first question that we have in here is related to the sanitation work, particularly I think in that visit that we had first to the sanitation inspector. Steve had a question about latrines. So do men, women, and children in a household all use the same latrine?
Yes, indeed. Men, women, and children in a household can use the same latrine. There is entirely nothing wrong with that. They can all use the same latrine. There are some circumstances where in-laws do not want to use the same toilets as their children-in-law or the in-laws. And so those are the only limitations that are there. Cultural beliefs, traditional beliefs that sometimes hinder people from using the same toilet. But otherwise, the same family members, mother, father, and children can all use the same latrine. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And particularly around, since we're on the sanitation beat, another question that came in was, did Water for People and the WASH team implement any outreach to the community to teach or implement WASH practices to improve hygiene, but really proper sanitation use, proper use of toilet, hand washing, how does that educational component work within the Water for People team structure and our work in hygiene and sanitation?
Martin, we have Martin, our colleague in Kamwenge, who can directly respond to that one. Martin, kindly take that one on.
Okay, thank you so much, David. About the dedication, I think it's all about the support from leaders, especially the country director and the team in Kampala. Let me hope we've taken on the right question.
Sure. Really just curious around education, particularly around sanitation and hygiene, proper use of toilets, proper hand washing techniques. What's the emphasis that Water for People puts on that? How does education play a role in Water for People's work?
Okay, thank you so much. There are so many engagements and training, especially training in schools where the use of the latrine is done, and especially through games. Those are wash games where students are trained on how to properly use the latrine. And when it comes to a sato pan, they also trained how to use a latrine with a sato pan or a power flash latrine. So those trainings are there. And when it comes to households, we do house visit. We have clustered households where trainings are done. We have extension workers who also reach the households to further engagement and training them on the use of latrines.
Thank you so much, Martin. Yes, I appreciated that question because I feel like that's something that maybe isn't talked about as much in Water for People's work, but is so integral and central to the forever piece of Everyone Forever, which is education and continued support for families, clinics, schools to be able to continue to utilize all of the incredible infrastructure. But if individuals, don't have that knowledge and education to walk away with, it's much harder to have a sustainable service. I have a question as well. I know, Grace, you did such a wonderful job interviewing at the hospital, but a general question around COVID-19 and how that's impacted work in Uganda. It's a very large question, so feel free to, maybe point out just a few things, but how has COVID-19 impacted your work on a day-to-day basis, or what has that looked like for you over the last really 2 years in Uganda?
Thank you so much. I've equally had quite an experience in this COVID pandemic as a district, as a facility, as a community, but I've really seen patient numbers surging because of the need. And of course, we have had a lot of support from local leaders. It has not been actually easy, but I can say with all the efforts I've been having from our IPs, local leaders, and the commitment of the staff, we have tried to move on, but it has not been easy because of the need for the supplies, need for trainings, because there's new information coming in. Then, of course, the population which is also worried, scared. Of course, the uptake of vaccines has also not been easy, not an easy task to sell to our communities. But I've seen a lot of changes in terms of patient numbers, and of course, some other health needs which have also increased of recent. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know you're coming in, Grace. I won't interrupt if you have something else to share.
For our dear audience, the person who has just spoken to us is Dr. Ivan, we've heard about in the video, and I'd like to add something. In line with COVID, well, when we started this work in healthcare facilities, we did an assessment of the wash needs in the facility, including drinking water, hand washing, and waste management. But however, with the incoming of COVID, it has had a great impact by causing a shift in the needs, where we thought we had reached full coverage, providing drinking water, hand washing, and waste management facilities in key patient care areas. Now the numbers have surged. They are required to have more social distancing. So the number of facilities now, the requirements have changed. That means the need has grown, and that would call even for more assessments to determine or to ascertain what is the current need in line with COVID. So in as much as we've achieved much with our partners, COVID has created more demand. The goal has now shifted and the target, and therefore more effort has to be put in to again realize the intended target. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that additional context. I realize that, again, is a very, very large question to try to answer in such a short period of time. But I appreciate, especially from the contextual lens of what that looks like, particularly in hospitals where we work, and how that intersects with the work in sanitation and hygiene particularly. I think being able to see and really tour the incinerator, for instance, is something that maybe wouldn't come to mind initially as to ways that Water for People is working with local hospitals and medical centers. So thank you again for that additional context. I have a question here. I know we've talked about sanitation, and then we've talked about in the healthcare facility visit, but there's another question in here for that middle visit that we saw the Masons Association. How long has the Association of Builders been working, and how do people know they exist to ask for their services?
Martin, please take that question on as well.
Martin, it sounds like everyone.
I'll take that. I think Martin has probably a bit of internet challenges. Sure. So we have supported the association for slightly over a year in Kamwenge district, giving them support, giving them both technical training on how to build toilets, but also opening them up to offer toilet construction as a business for sustainability purposes. We have supported them to brand themselves so that people get to know that the service is there. They have an office at the sub-county, so Water for People supported in branding that office so that it's a point for people to go there and ask for the service. But also regularly they have drives within the communities, like drives around just to let people know you need to have an improved toilet and we are here to serve you. They have identity cards that they use to let people know they are authentic service providers for toilet construction within the district. Thank you.
Then I also maybe wanted to supplement on Brenda that whenever we have engagements over the radios, we talk about them as leaders.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's very important. They are such leaders, and it was, I know, I'm sure they're maybe not ones that ask for the spotlight often, so it was really lovely to be able to visit them and see that work being done firsthand. So thank you for that. I have, it's a half compliment, half question here. So the team in Uganda is so dedicated and diligent, which I agree with, obviously, but I'm a little biased. What are your goals over the next 5 years? Expand on what you're doing now or move into other areas? What does that look like as a whole for the team in Uganda? Thank you so much for your service was also added onto that chat.
Yes, we do have a multi-year plan as an organization, and currently we actually envisage reaching everyone with safe water by 2027. So that's about how many years from now? 6 years from now, we should have covered Kamwenge and start planning for exit. as we expand to other districts in the country, as we try to support Luka district, and there are a number of districts that are also lined up for us to support. But our multi-year plan does give us a roadmap, and we envisage by 2027, we should have been able to serve everyone in Kamwenge with safe water. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Exciting progress, and a lot of big goals here in the next, like you mentioned, 5, 7, 10 years, with 2030 ultimately being our organization-wide goal as we move toward the Sustainable Development Goal 6, but really all of the Sustainable Development Goals that Water for People and your work and everyone's support on the line here goes toward. So thank you for that. I had one more question. We've got a, well, I'll share a comment and then one more question maybe as we round out this last bit of Q&A. We have a comment here in the chat from Steve. Great progress over the last 15 years. He was a part of a 3-person team for Water for People to when Uganda was evaluated as a candidate for a country program, which was wonderful. So thank you for being a part of that, Steve. Certainly seems Water for People has done well. Congratulations to all involved. I think he speaks on behalf of all of us on the line here to congratulate you for the work that you're doing day in and day out to reach so many people with such important services. The last question I had is particularly around, I feel like we didn't maybe get to this in the first go around, but to expand a little bit on why co-financing, co-investment, sometimes I jokingly call it the co's because we have so many collaboration, so many wonderful words, I think, that describe the work that you're doing in conjunction with so many other partners. Why is that so important to Water for People's work, and how does that help you advance the Everyone Forever model throughout Uganda?
I would like to talk about co-funding, and the big example is Kamwenge district. I want to begin by saying this year, with the support of Water for People and Ministry of Water and Environment, we launched a master plan. And that master plan is what Brenda earlier hinted on by saying that by 2027, we want to have covered almost every village in the Kamwenge district. In terms of funding, we do sourcing. For example, in Kabingo parish of Bihanga, we are implementing a project, piped water system project of about 7 billion. And Water for People is contributing 2.5 billion, and the government of Uganda is contributing 4.5 billion. That's how we've been moving on. And when that project is done, when we begin Bihanga Road 2, we are also looking at different partners. So we look at government. And government of Uganda, each financial year, gives Kamwenge district around 650 million, which we use either to do repairs or construction of boreholes or do some repairs. Sometimes we also do co-funding and other organizations also that come into the district, like UNICEF, they do support. And so to us, the master plan that we have as a district, which we developed with great support from Water for People, to us is a fundraising tool. It's a direction of how to achieve Everyone Forever vision. It's a fundraising tool. And to us, with it, we really have a great direction as a district.
Thank you. Those are perfect examples of why co-financing and that collaborative work is so important. And I think it was beautifully mentioned in both sessions in such different ways. In the first with the Ministry of Water, and then the second one working in the hospital. You know, it can take many forms, but I think what you so eloquently described and was shown in the videos as well is that it really pushes initiatives forward, and being able to work collaboratively on something like that is so crucial in the work that you're doing. So thank you. I think that is all the time that we have for the Q&A. So I want to thank everybody so much. Again, I will highlight that while I know we have many joining from all over the world, particularly our Ugandan colleagues are joining in their evening time after work, in a time where they have limited mobility with lockdowns and things going on with COVID. So huge thank you, and just many gratitude, much gratitude to all of the team involved in putting this together, making this happen. We have a few more minutes here on the line. I want to, each day of the Impact Tour, we're excited to highlight some of the amazing work and stories of supporters as well, because you are here supporting us, and you are here supporting our incredible colleagues in Uganda to really do the work that they're doing, as you just saw. So today we're excited to have Jenna Raza join us. Jenna is a dedicated workplace giving champion supporter and co-president of Tata and Howard, a dedicated workplace giving champion company, who attended an in-person impact tour to Rwanda in 2019. So Jenna, per Jenna from the impact tour that she attended, the tour gave her a greater appreciation of the dedication and passion of Water for People's organization for providing safe drinking water and sanitation to those in need. Witnessing the positive impacts that Water for People has had on the communities in Rwanda was amazing to experience. So please join me in welcoming Jenna to the virtual stage to share about her experience with her impact tour.
Hello, thank you for including me in this wonderful virtual tour. I can tell you I was very excited to go. One of my colleagues and I got to go to Rwanda in 2019, and I was so excited to go, but I didn't realize the incredible rewarding experience it would be. The teamwork between the Water for People staff in Rwanda, in America, with the local officials and the government officials and the shareholders, the people who received the water, was amazing to witness. The teamwork was just seamless. Everything was thought out. The education component, I was really impressed with. I didn't before I went on the impact tour, I didn't understand that full piece of education in the community on the value of drinking water and sanitation. So it was really interesting to see that piece. Can't say enough good thoughts about how the tour was structured. For us, the first day was kind of getting in tune with the culture of Rwanda, which gave us greater understanding of some of the struggles that they had and what they had dealt with, and why providing water was so important for that community. We realized through our touring how well the money was spent for Water for People. Everything ran so efficiently, from the education components for the people who received the water to the training of the staff who operated the systems, as we saw on this Uganda tour as well. It was really impressive to see all of those moving parts working collaboratively together and efficiently. And that was something that we really appreciated. I know after, when we got back to the hotel at night, those were some of the things we discussed, of how well everyone worked together and how the mission really, the teamwork was really what created such a positive impact. Two of my best days when we were there, best events, we actually got to meet some of the shareholders, some of the people in the village who had access to water. And having them come up to us and hug us and thank us was so rewarding. And it was really one of the best experiences that I've had in seeing the actual positive impact on these people's lives. And we also went to a school and realizing that they had more time for education because they had access to safe drinking water and sanitation. So the key takeaways that I learned from the Impact Tour, it's funny because I think the goal of the Impact Tour is to see how well the money and the funding and the resources impact the communities. But I walked away feeling just as impacted of how wonderful an organization Water for People was. I really enjoyed seeing how the money gets used very effectively, efficiently in all aspects of developing the drinking water, teaching, training. And the other piece that I have a better understanding is the full sustainability piece. I think that's wonderful that everyone forever model, so that people whose lives have positively been impacted by having water never have to experience not having water. So that was really an impressive piece of the whole Water for People model that I really took away. And I was able to talk about with people in my company so that they could see the money had such a positive impact. The co-financing with the local and the national government is why the program worked so well. So thank you for including me in this virtual tour, and hopefully someday in the future, the Impact Tours will be back in person.
Thank you so much, Jenna. I think you did a lovely job. I say that often about the Impact Tours that, while we're going to, as we did today, be able to see the impact of your support and your time and energy just as much, I feel like, if not more. Typically I do, others do, walk away being impacted themselves by the incredible work that the teams are producing and empowering communities to do on behalf of themselves. So thank you so much for sharing about your special connection, and hope others on here like you or like Jenna develop your own special connection to Uganda over this week's tour. I want to take just a final moment to share an incredible opportunity from a very generous anonymous donor. An anonymous donor has pledged a $20,000 match specifically for this week's tour, which we could not be more grateful for. And we hope that you find that you're connected in this and support the extraordinary work in Uganda by helping us raise that full $20,000 match. The link for the donation page is either posted in the chat or shortly will be posted in there. So you are welcome to continue to support your Impact Tour today by being a part of that fundraising to help us get to that match level. So we hope you enjoyed your travel today and that you really engaged in a meaningful way to know how impactful your support is to specifically the Uganda program, but really Water for People as a whole. Thank you so much for your time. We're grateful that you chose to spend your day with us traveling to Uganda, and for all that you do to support Water for People. So we hope to see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. We'll be here. Each day is unique visits and unique panelists. So we look forward to day 2, and hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
You are mute.